Sorry about that.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting into session. I don't see any changes to the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. First item is our indigent.
Chantel with the Indigent Services. The first case that I have for you this morning is case number 2022-0059. It's an application for cremation expenses through Manning Wheatley Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. The application was submitted by the funeral home and all of the information obtained was from the state's website. The deceased was a 66-year-old male who is considered a Bannock County resident and was not a veteran. With the information that we did obtain, it does appear that the deceased does meet criteria to be eligible for assistance. Bannock County is the last resource for payment for these final expenses, and there is no responsible party available for reimbursement of this request at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number 2022-0059.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
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 The next cases that I have for you are cases that were in suspension pending final determination for possible resources. Our recommendation is a denial of these cases pursuant to Idaho Code 31350225. As Bannock County were unable to obtain more information in regards to these cases, so it does appear that Bannock County does not appear to be the last resource for payment of these requests. For cases number 2016-0346, 2016-0359, 2017-0268, 2017-0167.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve, or we deny case numbers 2016-0346, 2016-0359, 2017-0268, and 2017-0167.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Emma.
Good morning, Commissioners. Emma Iannacone, Public Information Officer, here to seek signatures for the ordinance to protect the usage of the county seal.
Okay.
So this will be County Ordinance 2022-01. Subsections with use of the county seal and the penalties associated with it.
Is the penalty caning?
No.
Okay. You'll have to write that in.
Probably wouldn't make it past Brian.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance, Bannock County Ordinance 2022-01.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Shanda.
Shanda Crystal, Purchasing and Economic Analyst. I have two items before the board today. The first one is an agreement with Thomas D. Robinson Roofing for the museum roof. That contract has not been returned yet, so that one will have to go on another day to go before the board. The second item I have before you is a professional display contract with Acme Pro Pyro. That one has not been signed by the contractor, being that they're not in the area, but due to time and wanting to get on their schedule, it has been through legal and it has been through the department as well. So I am confident in presenting that one before the board for review and signature in the necessity to get on their calendar to get the fireworks show scheduled.
Questions?
No, I'm good.
Pretty simple, straightforward.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the contract as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
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 I'll work on the other one and get that one just as soon as it returns from the vendors. Thank you.
Thank you. Tyson, looks like we're gonna bump you up. Nobody else is here.
He likes sitting through a lot of meetings though, so if you want to wait, we can.
No. Tyson Coster, Bannock County Public Works. Two items to discuss. The first one is a rental with Western States CAT for a bedding box for the landfill gas well expansion project we started yesterday, so. That's,
How long are you using it for?
we'll rent it for the 4 week. We're gonna be about 3 weeks with it, but the month rental will be cheaper, so we'll rent it for the 4 week, $900.
Okay. How much is it if you bought one? Just curious. What do they normally?
I don't even know.
We don't use them that often.
No, 3 weeks every couple of years, depending on gas wells, but like we haven't had one for 3 years now.
Okay. No, I'm good. Do we have a, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the rental agreement with Western States Cats for the bedding box as requested and authorize the chairman's signature.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
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 The second item is to have a conversation about the landfill staffing issues and potentially a stipend. We've been working with Christy on this. So as you guys are aware, we have a serious issue at the landfill right now with employees' retainment.
How many employees do we have and how many open positions do we have?
So the landfill has 13 full-time staff, 1 part-time. Of those 13, we have 2 scale house, 1 generator operator, a management assistant, 1 assistant operations, and 8 operators. Of those 8 operators, we currently have 2 openings, and we will be getting a 2-week notice any day for the 3rd one. We did get confirmation we have an employee leaving and going to the city of Pocatello. So we will have 3, and he is one of our senior operators, so it'll be a lead position. The problem we have, so of the 8 operators, we have 3 that have over a year experience, 3 openings, and the rest we have 1 that'll be a year in June. Our assistant operation manager hasn't even been there a year, and 2 openings that we have 1 application from internal that wants to try to do a lateral, and that's going to open up a whole nother can of worms that I don't think is feasible to do.
Are you going to be able to move over some people from Road and Bridge to help alleviate?
So with this plan we have, we're asking for a 7% stipend, effective 5/9 through 9/30. The cost of this is roughly $11,000 for the positions we have that we need.
And this is just for the landfill, correct?
So this is figured on every line. So what we're proposing is we offer this stipend to Road and Bridge employees to go up for a 2-week minimum. So if they will choose to go and fill a shift for 2 weeks at a time minimum, they would get the stipend for that pay period.
How does that impact you with your road stuff that you got going?
Right now, we can get by. Once we start chipping the 20th of June, it's going to be a little tougher. But at the same time, if it takes us an extra day on roads, that landfill's got to stay open.
I guess my question was geared more towards if you let some of the road stuff slip, because I think the landfill is a priority. What does that cause us, next year? Can we make some of that up next year if we miss it?
Yeah, and I truthfully, a guy here, a guy there, we can get by. I mean, it'd be tough. It's definitely going to add, a day here and there to chipping and paving, and it puts everyone in a crunch, no doubt about it. But I don't know what alternative we have right now.
I'll just tell you, my biggest concern here is next year's budget. If we give people a 7% right now, and then take that part of that or some of that away because we can't compensate in next year's budget.
Are we right back where we started?
Yeah.
So I have I have an answer for that. I know it's not been approved. We have worked extremely hard to keep bottom lines as close as we can in our next year's budget. We have proposed for landfill 8.5% next year. At 8.5%, that'll barely get us to where, that'll put us 9 cents higher than the city of Pocatello. And the city of Pocatello is looking at a 3 to 5% increase for their employees next year.
And I'll just tell you, I have a very tough time of segregating departments off. One of them getting 8-9% and the other one getting 5%. That, to me, that's impossible for me to approve.
We're looking for solutions to this revolving door. So the landfill,
Well, and
in the last year, we have hired guys. The one guy made it 2 paychecks, left. One guy made it 3 months, left. One guy made it 6 months and left.
So you're getting better at keeping them.
That's not just a problem that you have.
No,
That's a
and
problem the whole county has. That's a problem that the nation has.
No, and I understand it.
So,
But one thing about this department is it's kind of like the jail. It is mandated.
yeah,
We can't close the doors of that
And
facility.
the other thing on their behalf is, to use Mike Rowe's term, it's a dirty job.
the most
And I would say
important
it's
job in the
it's harder to
county.
get someone to go drive a tractor at the landfill than it is to get somebody in this building to come to
Yeah.
work.
And the landfill has some, I know that we have night work and weekend work in other departments. But the landfill shift work, they work 3 Saturdays a month year round, those operators. They get 1 Saturday off a month. So they're, at the landfill, it's a little bit different beast.
It's well, and this is the conversation that we all were talking about. There is a stigma with the landfill.
There
And
is
what
no
people
doubt about
don't,
it.
and what people don't want to understand, I don't care what profession you're in, the landfill operators are the most important for public health and safety in our county. Because if that landfill stops, you watch and see what happens when your garbage starts piling up. Or last Saturday, my older brother was down at the landfill and took a picture, and the line was all the way down to the 3-way stop. And this is the whole problem, is it's not gonna get, is building and everything else is getting crazy. People are trying to do stuff themselves instead of having contractors do it. And so, it's just, it's not slowing down.
So Saturday we had 365 cars across the scale.
But also, for clarification, we're talking about a 5 to 7% now, and then on top of that in 6 months, an 8%?
No, so what our proposal would be is if we got the 7% now, come October, we would only want to try to budget that 1.5 that we've had figured in.
Okay, so, quick clarification. This is a temporary stipend, no different
Yes.
than what we
Yes.
have for the jail.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one-time monies, that next year what we would have to do is we would have to do the 8% if that's what he chooses to do. Because we're using existing salary savings
Yeah.
to cover this.
Right.
And the projection I sent out originally was just the equipment operators and the scale house people. We did not include the management assistant nor the, what's he called, assistant operations.
Yeah, assistant operations or the generator. I would propose to include our assistant operations manager in this, and the management assistant and the generator, no, not right now.
So the other thing too is, this is part of the discussion that we had, was what we need to look at for budget is maybe just specifically for the landfill, is maybe like the weekend stipend or something very specific, because that, again, the stigma and what is there and how hard it is to get people, and people think, well, if you're not educated, you go work at the dump. That is not the case. These guys are driving $1 million pieces of equipment. These have to be the most, these are usually some of your best operators that you need running this equipment. But what they want to do is when they work there for a while, they want, as soon as there's an opening in Roan Bridge, they want to bounce ship because they're working 4 days. And so that's the whole thing is that why wouldn't you want to go do that? And I get that.
And we looked at the.
So you're suggesting Road and Bridge should be 5-day work week?
Well, there's a conversation there, but then there's a lot of road and bridge guys that'll take a lower wage because they don't have that Friday on, and so they go pick up some side work, and that's actually how you keep, I actually think that's how we've kept most of road and bridge,
Yeah,
is compared to other options. Is, yeah, Pocatello might pay more, but they're working 5/8, or other shift work or other stuff.
Their street operations work 410s as well.
Saying,
And we go to 5 days in the wintertime, to clarify that. The 5 days a week in the summertime, it's counterproductive. It actually kills you. The county's so big, by the time we
mobilize
mow
and, yep.
to South County to start a pave job, and we're working 8-hour days, it is a huge difference in production you get done in a day. Substantial.
Ryan?
I was gonna, based on conversations we've had recently, and what I proposed originally with that salary plan is I think there will be a few groups of employees that are just kind of out of whack, that have been hard to recruit, hard to retain. You know, the sheriff deputies and the jail are one of those groups. I don't see this as urgent as the jail, but they were identified early on as one of those groups that is tough, that those positions may need to be reclassified at the beginning of the fiscal year, just because ongoing issues, year-long issues with this.
Well,
And it's just kind of hitting a climax now, but.
That's part of the other discussion too that
Yeah.
we've had is, and that'll be a budget, is we need to create the hierarchy a little bit more. I mean, we flattened it out in the past, and that's one thing that we're seeing problems of, because there's no,
We flattened out all the job descriptions across the county.
So there could be an option for like a level 1, 2, 3 operator, something like that, so they have a ladder to climb, similar to what we've recommended for others.
One thing I brought up the other day so in the past, we've lowered our standard a little bit to hire people for the last couple of years. We've been hiring non-CDL drivers, training them ourselves, trying to get them brought up, teach them how to drive, go get their CDL. With the law that changed February 7th, it's made the whole CDL, so the CDL world has exploded. I mean, it's gone crazy. Demand for CDLs right now is insane. You can't just go get a CDL now. You have to, it's a certificate.
You gotta go to Sage Trucking to,
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna start,
basically.
we're gonna start Tyson's School of CDLs in the county.
So that was another thing that's really hurt us, so we've been weighing, do we try to waive that right now? But then it goes back, right now we don't have operators 1, 2, and 3 to where we maybe could, and then if they do their own initiative to get their CDL, they can move up. But right now we don't have that, and we have to have CDL. Them roll-offs don't transport themselves, so.
Well, like I said, the big thing is what we're looking at is if we don't stop some of this, we're not gonna open the transfer station in McCammon.
Yeah, that's right now, I don't know how we're gonna open the transfer station.
And one of
next
your
month
big
on
things right
Wednesday.
now that you look at is when it becomes harder for people to get rid of their garbage, they just dump their garbage. And what happens is that's why you have transfer station. That's why you have other things, is you want people to go through the effort. If the effort and the cost of fuel is greater than what they have, it'll end up in a canyon somewhere. It'll end up on the side of the road. And
Yeah, we may be coming back for another meeting with these 3 openings and requesting to change hours of operation in McCammon, because right now I don't know how to make it open on Wednesdays.
And so that's, and again, so
dumps could be a 5-day work week instead of 6.
yeah, we cut a day down. That's not gonna make people happy.
We definitely can. That's gonna be.
Well, that's
Hey, City of Pocatello, we're not dumping on Wednesdays no more.
Well, that's you'd almost have to weigh that, because Saturday is the
Saturday's busy.
biggest public day.
Take
So,
Monday off, probably.
yeah, you'd have to do something, which then you're gonna City, PSI, Pocatello, Blackfoot,
Sorry.
Fort Hall. They're gonna have to readjust their schedule. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's conversation we may have to have.
It-
There's no
it-
doubt.
Like you do on holidays, when Pokey still runs, don't they have somebody man the scale house?
So on
Or
holidays,
something
but
like
we're
that.
only running Pokey's the only one that runs. We don't, most of
The others don't?
the others don't. So that's what would be, if that was a possibility, that may help manpower wise. We reduce to city only 1 day a week. Cause then we could shut cell 3 down,
Mm-hmm.
and that may be a pretty good option. I'm looking as no public one. I mean, there's different scenarios we can do there for sure.
Well, I think as we look at the whole picture, it's not just wages.
No,
I mean,
you've got wages,
can't
you've got environment and schedule. The wages have made it easier to justify leaving the schedule and the environment, no doubt.
So why did you come up with 7% instead of like 5% or whatever? What was the motivation?
So originally, we had actually figured on what we're trying to propose for October. So we had figured the 8.5% originally. When we met the other day, we started talking, the landfill is one pay grade higher, maybe as if we go landfill operator, equipment operator. So that's where the 7% kind of come in as we visited the other day on it. At 5%, it may help. 7%, we're still not, I mean, 3 of them have been to the city. It's a thorn.
Well, the problem is
They're recruiting.
yeah.
They're going.
They got all their
calling
phone numbers and they're calling them.
I've been here 6 months and now I'm got my 6-month raise and I'm at $21 an hour and I don't work Saturdays. So they sit and call and call and call, and the next thing you know, the guys after working a few Saturdays, I think, it don't sound half bad to go work for the city of Pocatello at this wage and have Saturdays off.
Well, we close down on Mondays, and City of Pocatello's gonna have to make some changes, aren't they?
Well,
What about looking at Sage to as an educational benefit, and that the employee has to guarantee they'll work so long like the sheriff?
So that's one thing we've looked at is if we do, so the problem we have for this current year is we don't have the education money. So that's one thing we've looked at for next year is putting some education money to be able to put them through the CDL school and then lock them in for, what is the sheriff's office doing, 2 years?
that's a year, 2 years, something
You
like
have to
that.
pay
Well,
it back.
and so that's the whole thing it comes back to is looking at this is it's one of those things that however we do it, we have to change some job classifications probably. We got to change some of that, landfill operator 1, 2, and 3. Decide, do we need CDLs, not need CDLs, are we going to do education? That's something that's got to happen in budget. Right now, the biggest problem we have is if we lose 2 more operators or so, everybody, and Ryan, the one thing I will disagree with you on is the landfill is the most critical point in county infrastructure, because if it fails, while the jail is important, not 90,000 people don't use the jail, 90,000 people use the landfill. And you want to watch a riot on your hands. You find out when people, hey, just stick your garbage out in the street because there's nowhere to put it, because we can't process it fast enough. Then there will be emergency mandates of people will be moving, and then we will have a lot of hate and discontent. And so
that was like one conversation we've had is, the benefit of being able, if we can get this figured out, is the benefit of being able to offer to the road and bridge guy for a 2-week. If we got a couple guys that are hungry for some money, they go work the landfill, they get compensated. We walk in and start telling them they're going to go work the landfill, which is a possibility. We could do that, but are we just going to be starting another fire there? Because they're all hanging on. We got a lot of them right now are hanging on to see what happens come October.
well, that's what I say.
So along that line then, when they go over there, are they working overtime?
No, we would move them into, if they want
Yeah,
to
they
take
move
the
it on
stipend, if they want to get the stipend.
It's
we-
not their extra
No,
days,
no,
like
no.
We're going to
Friday
move
and
them
Saturday
into the landfill
because they're
shift
off.
for that time period.
No, they're going over, and that was part of the reason is, hey, you have a stipend, and if you're and then the discussion was, well, if we're paying some road and bridge guys to have a stipend to go over there and do that, the guys that are there working right now, that's kind of a kick in the face that, hey, let's get through the busy time, let's get some budget. I think we get some pay raise and get some stuff kind of put together, and like I said, I would really like to see maybe just like even if it's just like a landfill stipend, just to show, hey, special departments, you work in an area that's, you might have to do something like that.
We did do that with the jail. I
Yep.
mean, it is.
Well, and a lot of businesses went to working.
But I would disagree with you. I don't say that one department's better than the other. I
No,
they're both
no.
just as important. And on the methods, we can close down the landfill for a day, but we can't close down the jail for a day.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I would look at.
in that position,
I would look at doing some, the other thing too that we found and a lot of industries go to is a shift differential for working at certain departments. It actually saves money, it's a better recruiting tool, and that's something that we probably need to look at the landfill. But for right now, in emergency, as I look at this, I would say go ahead. I'm good with, let's go ahead and get it and see if we can get some road and bridge
So we
guys
do
to
have
over.
$24,000 of unexpended salary money that we're trying to use to cover this, so.
So if we do the equipment operator scale house and then add the operations, assistant
Assistant.
operations guy, that'll be 12,400 of that. And then how we thought we could do the road and bridge stipend is on the 2-week period, we'll have these guys submit a memo on who from road and bridge is gonna work, and then bring it before the board to have them sign it in lieu of a salary approval form. Because if we do a salary approval form, I'm afraid it's gonna get put in the system and be more consistent. So if you just sign an authorization each pay period, then that way we'll just add that to the payroll, if we have anybody from road and bridge, just to keep it clean. And then they'll have, if this is 12-4, if you approve those positions, that'll be 12-4. That leaves us just under 12,000 for road and bridge people to.
And part of
fill in the
that
gap.
total number, though, is job openings. So three of them line items,
We'll have more money
yeah,
because of those openings.
there's no one there to pay the stipend.
Have you gotten any job applications, Richter?
One. An internal Bannock County employee that was a landfill employee has applied to come back. They're requesting a potential, what was the term you call it?
Lateral, well, it was a exceptional
An
placement.
exceptional placement. Although they have some experience, the heartburn I have with that is we exceptional place that employee where they're currently at. They're going to be coming back significantly higher than a couple that have stuck it out with us since he left. So what's that going to do to the morale that's already down? But that is our only application.
Okay.
And I want to let you know too
That's a
that,
different discussion.
Yes, exactly.
that my office has made some progress with the online recruitment efforts where we're filtering the LinkedIn or the Indeed applications straight to our website finally. And since we've done that, we've seen an uptick in applications, so I'm hopeful that that'll help you too. But that's very recent, and so, but it's still, who knows how the quality and how that's going to go. Historical trends have been not so good for that recruitment effort.
Okay, I got a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the landfill request for the retention stipend and the, how do you want to say it, the assigning of the road and bridge crews to the 2-week times at the landfill.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay, 1 nay.
Will you get me the, work with Keith on the salary approval forms?
Okay.
Because if we're going to make them effective the 9th, we need those signed Thursday.
I'll do that.
Take that too. We've got a special form that doesn't go through the whole process. You just include the name, and then you'll sign it, and then the commission will sign it.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Was Ashley not going to attend?
I was wondering if she was going to be here. Did you hear anything?
I thought she was.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and move to the Fair Board.
You want me to go see if I can catch her?
Catch you.
Ashley.
Is she here?
No, I'm just trying to reach out.
Oh, yeah, I just text her. I'll text her and let her know.
All right, we have the Fair Board before us now. Let's talk about reallocation of funds again.
That's partially true, Commissioner. First of all, we need to establish who manages the Bannock County Fair Board employees.
That's a discussion that we've been having.
You're right, yes.
Brian?
I don't,
We'll go to our legal counsel.
Okay,
So we know like the Fair Board under statute can definitely employ labor, right? And so we know that the county commissioners are, I mean, how the statute's written, both the county commissioners and the Fair Board, at least over the fairgrounds, have a duty to maintain it. So it depends on what do you mean by employee, and if you're employing labor, how are you employing them? What is anything going on with the county? Are they helping out? So, I mean, it just depends on the situation. So I'm trying to understand your question, like who's in charge of managing employees up at the fairground?
That's correct.
Okay, so if the Fair Board hires someone, right? I mean, they can be your employee, but county employees can also be up there as well. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where the question lies. Is there a specific?
As I read the state statute, I don't believe the county employees can be there.
Okay, so.
Well, yes and no. It's kind of like Brian says,
Yeah.
because ultimate responsibility lies to the county commissioners for the fair, for the fairgrounds. All personal property, all physical property. Actually, the ultimate responsibility lies right here. And if you read the statute, the Fair Board falls back to the statute that says that the commissioners have that ultimate responsibility. So it's a you guys have authority, we have ultimate responsibility. So it's a joint venture that way. But like Brian just said, if you as a Fair Board want to hire your employees, then the administrative part that the county does, we don't do. They're your employees, 100%.
That's correct.
And so that's a decision, I guess, that you as a Fair Board have to decide. But the other part about it is those employees are to do things for the fair. So
And the fairgrounds.
well, that's the maybe not. That's where our responsibilities come in. That's where he's saying that county employees can be involved because the commissioners have the ultimate responsibility for personal property, not the Fair Board. So if you have a rodeo down there that is not the fair's rodeo, like the Bible rodeo, that's not a fair rodeo. That's a county rodeo on county property. So that's the discussion that we've been going back and forth with ever since I've been here.
Ever since I was here.
And so I've asked our legal team, tell us what we need to do, because we want to know. 100%, we want to know.
And we want to know.
Well, and the big problem it comes back to is, okay, who do they work for? All right, well, for the argument is, we had this, when Ray Dean's husband was on the board, this is the big discussion that we had. Are they county employees or are they Fair Board employees? And if the Fair Board and we tried to form a hybrid system, so a Fair Board employee is at the direction of the Fair Board, but they were still under the payroll and benefits of county employees. That was what we were trying to accomplish in this last iteration. That's why they're left that way. A lot of counties, their Fair Board is just issued a check, and they are not treated through through your payroll system. They're not on PERSI. They're not on any of those benefits. They're just, here you go. Insurance, all that stuff is left to the Fair Board to decide if they want to offer that, and if they want to, then they have to go out to an independent contractor and have that done. That's why we're at the position of where we're at right now. Is there a problem with it functioning the way it's functioning right now? I think that's before even Brian answers that question, is there an issue with it functioning this way? We gave the employees to the Fair Board for the Fair Board to direct. Is there an issue or a problem with that?
The state statute says Bannock County Fair Board can hire.
Yes.
100%.
100%.
We agree 100% with that.
100%. And if you want to hire them, that's fine. But what will happen is they will not be county employees then. They will be Fair Board employees. There will be no Percy benefits. There will not be anything. They will be a Fair Board employee because if you are going to be a Bannock County employee, they work for the county. They are on assignment to the Fair Board, but they will under the purview that if they need to have their job duties as otherly in their job description assigned, they may be. But that's what I'm saying is if we're going to do that, and they're going to be solely at the Fair Board's discretion, and that's what the Fair Board wants. There will be no Percy, there will be no benefits, they will not go through our system, we will not account for them, we will not do anything that way.
Let's back up a second. Your road and bridge department has a supervisor.
Uh-huh.
You do not do anything out there until you go through the supervisor. Same with every other department in the county.
Uh-huh.
Why is not the Fair Board treated the same way?
Well, the employees are supposed to be at the direction of the Fair Board. The Fair Board is their supervisor. I don't see the problem in the breakdown there. That's how it was designed, was the two employees are at the direction of the Fair Board. That's the supervisor. The Fair Board shall direct to do what they need to have done.
That was Road and Bridge, it was just in here.
I knew that.
And they ultimately answer to the commissioners.
That's correct.
And so, well, I don't understand what you're asking.
The Fair Board does, answers to the commissioners. But you don't tell the sheriff deputy where to park and write tickets, do you?
No, he's an elected official.
He's under an elected official, that's a different.
So Road and Bridge, you don't stop Rowdy Evans and tell him to go plow somebody's lane.
Well, there's been discussions in the past where some of that stuff might come up. Hey, did you guys forget to do that?
Is that closer to your point?
It is.
Well, can you guys give us an example where that's happened?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, where?
When they went down there 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I went to the fairgrounds and talking to the commissioners.
We are the
commissioners.
We're not talking to the
We don't need to talk to the Fair Board to do that. Under state statute and the Idaho Constitution, we're responsible for all property that belongs to the county. We can investigate, walk through, do anything at any time. We don't have to talk to anybody. And that's my constitutional assignment.
Wouldn't it be appropriate to come talk to the commissioners?
Okay. Brian?
No, Mr. Chair, if I might. So I want to go back. You said under the statute, you're talking about the property, and I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. Is this, because there's a part in there that says to take charge and manage all property the county has acquired or set aside for fair purposes? Is that the section you're talking about? Mm-hmm. Yep. And it links to pursuant to Idaho Code 31822. And that's where I'm saying it's kind of the legislature saying, okay, we're going to be a team here with the county and the Fair Board. Because you go to 31822, I mean, it says for the commission as well that they're supposed to care for and maintain the same, regulate the use thereof in their discretion, right? But it gives the Fair Board also, you know, the authority to manage and the property that's been set aside for fair purposes. So there's a little bit of, I would call it a concurrent jurisdiction there. But definitely the Fair Board does have the charge, like I said, to take care and manage the property. But that doesn't keep the commission out of it because they're still, you know, over maintaining it and regulating the use thereof pursuant to 31822.
I'll buy that.
Okay.
Lost my thought here.
Could I insert something too? Because Commissioner Tubby, you mentioned this hybrid, right? That was kind of set up. And I'm new, I haven't seen all the history, but on this hybrid, which I've seen, is as the part where they're Bannock County employees is they do follow our personnel policy. They are on our payroll. We write their checks.
Yep.
You know, lots of the same benefits and everything that other county employees enjoy. One of the things where it's goofy that we don't do is we don't have them on the same compensation table as other employees, which actually surprised me when I looked at it at first.
It was because when this was done, they were put at their own wages that were actually different and higher than what the graders and operators were at that level at that time. I went back and looked at my notes of why we did what we did.
And so that could be a point to discuss. But otherwise, regarding the direct supervision of the day-to-day activities and under the fair, I mean, that hybrid seems like it makes sense, except for that one point of the salary table thing.
So, and this is the whole thing that too it came back to, is before they were under one office that had dealt with that. The Fair Board wanted to have their own separate because they didn't feel that they were able to direct or didn't have them, and so that was the reason why the 2 employees were parceled off and given directly under the Fair Board supervision. And that's again, it comes back to, is there a problem with the current model? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I wasn't here, but there was a problem in that 2 employees did not get a raise when all the other county employees got a raise.
Okay, but again, they were set on their own pay tables. They were actually set higher than the individuals that when they moved them around. The Fair Board, we had an allocation of money, the Fair Board asked for it, and the Fair Board set the wages of those 2 employees as they saw fit.
Like I said, I wasn't there here at that time.
And that's what I'm saying, that's where it happened. And so the whole thing is, they were taken out of the pay tables. Because they were higher than, and how the conversation happened, it was not that it was this, it was, hey, we actually wanted to have Salt and these guys at a different wage, so they set them at a different wage.
Quick clarification. The way COLAs and steps work is if you are on the salary table, then you get the COLAs and you get the steps. If you are outside that table, then it's at the discretion of the department to give those COLAs, and they don't get steps because they're not on the scale. So we have temporary election workers that are in the same situation. Their wages are not on the scale, or at least it didn't used to be, and so they did not receive COLAs. If you want them to receive automatic COLAs through the county process, then they need to be on the salary table, which I think is going to be a goal for next year's budget. And then if that's the case, then they'll get those automatically.
But then
otherwise, it's at your discretion to give those pay
Then if we tie them back to the county table, then there's no wage changes then that you guys make or have anything there. It's all simply then on the table, solely at this discretion under the Idaho Constitution. Only the Board of County Commissioners has the authority to set wages.
That's true.
And so the problem, and that's why that was done that way, was it was set that the Fair Board then could make it your discretion of what you needed. In your wages that were set in your A budget, that's why it was set that way. If you deemed that employee 1 needs to be paid more than employee 2, you could do that in those monies that were allocated. That's why those employees were not in the table. Now, if you want to put them back in the table, you guys can't go back and readjust that or change that or do whatever. And if the other thing, we did it for flexibility. So if employee 2 quit and you needed to hire employees and you couldn't get a 1-for-1 replacement, and say you had to hire 2 part-timers to replace that other, or however you did that, that was at your guys' discretion. And that's why I'm saying there was reasons of why it was done. It was not a malicious, like, hey, we're just not. No, they were pulled out of the pay tables at the request and how it was done with the Fair Board. That's why we did that. But if they want to come back into that, that's a bit of autonomy that's going to be lost.
Cody?
What you're saying is, the way we are now, it's at the board's.
As long as there's funds inside
inside
that
we still
line
have to
item.
run it past you, but we can say this is what we're looking at, and here's the money, we want to do this.
Yep, and that's why we set it up that way. And so this is why I keep coming back to kind of like, that's what my question is the system broken?
Well, before that, they were under Guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Guy was the ultimate supervisor
That was beautiful.
of the employees. And if we want to go back to that, Scott will be the ultimate supervisor.
I mean,
No, and we're getting some clarification, and I think it's good. It's something that we have to talk about too.
Mr. Sheriff, I might
Yes.
add some more. So if you want to employ your own labor, right? I mean, whoever that employee is, that would come out of the fair funds, the fair levy. And that employee would be under the supervision of the fair board. So you could go there too. And when it comes to a budget, when we're talking about salaries, every year, as you know, right, you prepare a budget.
That's correct.
And you're in within some parameters, right? Because they make you do a little bit of guessing. When I was reading through there, you have to say, okay, here's our anticipated revenue, here's our anticipated expenses, and
That I understand.
yeah, and the statute's like, hey, but you can't go over what you think is going to be your ultimate one. But in that, you can also request what salaries you want to set for the year, you know, where you want to do it, and then it goes to the commissioners. It becomes part of the county budget, and then the commissioners have a chance to look it over, and it says that they can modify it or change, you know, however they think would be in the best interest of the county. So again, all these statutes kind of have the Fair Board and the commission working together. Now, you guys are not an advisory board, you're your own board, right? And so, but it still has links to the county commissioners, of course, and so that's, so I just wanted to clarify that a little bit, because we know the budget season's coming up, and that's everyone's favorite time of year, I know, but I just wanted to make sure you understood at least that part, and I think you do. I mean, you've done it in the past, but I don't know if you had any questions on that as well, because that came up just a little bit.
Moving forward, 2022-23 budget, we will be included, what's that?
23, you mean next year?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 23.
We'll be included in that budget with our Bannock County fair employees.
So you want them tied to the pay table then?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's the board's unanimous, or we have a concurring decision then?
Well, that's got to be held in your meeting. You can't be.
We've already made that decision.
Okay. So, but that's the whole thing that we were working at, is because there was a big push that they wanted to have the autonomy. Now, if you don't want to have it, that's fine, and we can do that when we put it in the budget. But that's the whole thing is then when we come back and say, hey, we want employee one to get a $2 raise, that is not going to happen in the middle of a pay table, in the middle of a budgetary cycle.
That I understand.
And that's and as long as we're okay with that, but that's what we're trying to budget. That's when we set all this up the first time when those employees were pulled off. That's part of this experiment that we were doing. And like I said, that's where I'm okay with that, but we they follow the Bannock County handbook.
I'll just tell you where I'm at. I have a very tough time of crossing over one group having authority and the other one having responsibilities. I have a very tough time with that because we keep going into gray areas. Who is their actual supervisor? And from what you're saying, you want to be their supervisor, correct?
That's correct.
But you want the county to be the administrator.
As far as the budget is, yes, that's correct.
And I think that we're crossing lines there. To me, if you want to be the supervisor, then you have sole responsibility for the administration. That's the way I feel.
Except for the budget. You have all responsibility when it comes to the budget.
Yes. And that's what we're saying is
the total budget, but salaries and stuff like that you're wanting to set, you're saying that we have no authority.
The commissioners have no authority?
Yeah.
We want them to set.
We didn't say that at all.
Go in line with them.
That's what I say, we're crossing lines to me. We're telling the commissioners, you got this authority over here, but you don't to tell the employee what to do or anything else with the fair.
Well,
and so to me, they would become your employees, that we give you the check, and the administration part is yours. The insurance part is yours. That's where I'm at right now.
Well, and so that's the discussion then that we will have to have at budget.
Yes.
And the other thing is then we would have to find in, because what would have to happen is the fair board would say, okay, hey, we're going to keep these employees as ours directed, supervised, and if we're not on Percy and if we're not on insurance, this is what we would have to have, or wages for compensate, making those changes, and is that in line with budgetary request?
That would be in their budget.
And that would be an entirely different budget discussion than here today. But yeah.
Well, to me, we're still going down the same lane that we've gone on for the 3 years that I've been here.
Yeah.
We want this authority over here, but we want you to pay and do this over here, and we're still crossing back and forth.
Isn't that the same with Road and Bridge and every other department?
No.
Well, but every other department, we're the direct board of supervisors. So there is no boards in front of any. We are the Road and Bridge board. We are the ambulance board. We're the mosquito board. We are those boards. And so we have another board that's in front of us in this aspect, which is you guys, because that's what's required under state statute. Now, other counties, dependent upon population, fair boards don't exist as they're advisory groups only. Once you hit 200,000 people. Once you hit 200,000 people, then they're just all ran as county employees, because it's so big in their operation and what they do, they just run it that way. So there are many different models in the state that this is done in, and so there is no black and white answer here, and that's what we're getting at. Is what we've everybody says that is, well, it's this or way or that way. No, there's so many different counties that do it different. And
44 of them.
and I don't think any of them are right or wrong. It's just what they found that works the best in their thing. And so that's kind of what I come back to again, is, okay, we're trying to figure out what works best, but we got to quit every other year we're changing or switching just because the board wants to do something different or because an employee wants to do something different. We need to get this into, a rhythm and a routine, and we need to institutionalize this so it doesn't change every year, because it's hard on the employees and it's hard on everybody to keep track of what we're doing.
It's hard on the board.
Yeah.
Can I say something too?
By all
Okay,
means.
as a teacher, if my superintendent was to come in and tell me to, and I think this is what, like, that whole chain of command thing, my superintendent would talk to my principal if he thought there was something that needed to be changed in my classroom. Then my principal would come to me and talk to me about that. Would it be so hard when you see something that needs to be changed to talk to someone on the fair board, so then we could relay that? Because then we don't understand, okay, I know that my superintendent is my ultimate boss, but who do I listen to?
Have we not done that? Where is
Well,
the opposite of that happened?
just when, like the day when you guys came to talk to Saul, that was just such a hard thing, because it would have been nice to have had just one fair board member there to just be able to listen to what was discussed and done
We
anyway.
didn't specifically go down there to talk to
Yeah,
Saul.
we were talking to Saul.
We went to look at the facilities.
And in all
Okay.
fairness, our office tried to reach out to Sheldon, we couldn't get hold of him. That's the only number I had, so.
Maybe we need to get you some of the others.
So this is the other question, is
But this is the second time that I've been down there. One time, Scott and I just stopped by. Saw Saul, I mean, we was doing something else in Downey, we stopped by to see how things were going. And before I hit McCammon, Saul had already called Sheldon and complained about us walking through the fairgrounds.
so
And then this time, we're changing departments here in the county, who's over buildings and the structure of that office or that department. So we grabbed the individual that is going to be the lead in that. We went down there and we went up to the event center, two areas that we know that we hadn't looked at and he wasn't familiar with. So that was the purpose, to go look and let him be familiar with it, so that we, ultimately having the responsibility, have an idea. And we're looking at all buildings in the county, not just the fair, not just the event center, but all buildings in the county. He told us $17 million of infrastructure that needs tore down and replaced yesterday. That was the purpose, to fulfill our duties and our responsibilities.
see, and so I have I'm getting a little this, and I see this in the Army a lot. When the bosses want to walk through, the superintendent, whoever you want, they want to walk through and they want to do a surprise inspection and walk through, it's up to them. If they want to walk through and they want to do that, it's up to them. A lot of times people get offended that, oh, they should have told me or whatever. I was down there one day and just walked through and talked to Saul for a second and left. I was down in Downey taking care of some stuff and had about 30 minutes that I just needed to kill. I went for a walk around the thing because I didn't have anything else better to do. The whole thing is if we have a problem with a board of county commissioners whose constitutional authority, we are directed in the state constitution for all purview of property of the county. For us walking through, then there's an issue. If people start getting offended because we walk through because we're just looking at buildings because it's our responsibility, I have a problem with that. If we have issues that way, and this is the difference of your analogy of the school, we appoint the fair board. The fair board actually works for the Board of County Commissioners is how that works. In state statute, if you read through that, it's not that the fair board is this own independent authority that gets to do full autonomy and do whatever they want. The Board of County Commissioners appoints the fair board to handle the needs of the fair, because most counties, when this was written in statute, were not full-time commissioners. They didn't have enough time for the county commissioners to try and do the fair and everything else, so they have another board. That's why they do that. And I'm okay with that. That's great, because it's a lot of work, right?
It is a lot of work.
And so that's what we're talking about. This is not just the commissioners. Oh, the commissioners came down and talked to us. Fine. We go talk to a lot of groups. You asked about the sheriff? Yeah, we do a surprise inspection on the jail once a month that we're required to. And we go through there and we go through the entire jail and we make sure it's up to standard, and we go through and we do that. That's what we're required to do. And so if we're walking through and that offends people, I'm sorry, but that's our constitutional duty and that's what we're going to do.
I think it just caught Saul off guard.
Well, and I'm sorry if that catches Saul off guard, but this is part of the discussion then for employees.
Yeah.
And
So do you guys have a key to all the buildings?
no.
So do you have Saul open it for you?
Yeah, he went through and walked us through every one of them.
Well, I've gotten a hold of Saul the day before, so he knew we were coming out this time.
We invited him to Aramo to have lunch with us before we went down there, so we could just visit. I mean,
Mr. Chair, kind of misunderstanding, and a little more communication this way might be appreciated.
Yeah.
okay, Brian?
So, and again, this is just from the legal perspective. I mean, the Fair Board does have the duty to manage, right? As I said before, all property that's been acquired by the county. It's still county property, but you have the duty to manage all property that's been acquired for fair purposes and set aside for fair purposes. You know, the commissioners have the duty to maintain it and to regulate the use of. That's why if there's ever any real property or personal property that needs to be purchased, it's within the purview of the Fair Board to go and make a recommendation to the commissioners, right, to make sure that's done. And that maintenance, in my opinion, falls to the commissioners ultimately, so if things are, but as far as managing it, that goes to the Fair Board. Now, you brought up Road and Bridge. What's a little bit different is you guys are a board and you have some powers that are just yours, right? Nobody can come in and tell you to change that. You know, specifically to go with a fair such as to award prizes, make exhibition contracts, you know, bid out different things, put the admissions or decide what the admission's going to be to the fair or not. I mean, so as a board, really, there's a lot of things you have autonomy in that nobody else has any say over except you. So I mean, that's the difference. It's just when it comes with the commissioners, there are some things that you have to work together on when it's involving the county property, you know. But yeah, it's over the Fair Board to manage that property. But the commissioners regulate the use thereof and maintain it. And it's still considered county property, so they can go on to that. That
So
would be
as we do
appropriate.
upgrades or purchase of, like new panels or put new barn doors on, that should all go through.
That needs to all,
It's
any
approved by
personal
these
property
guys,
or real
but
property
But the other
can be
thing too,
recommended from the
and-
board, but has to go through the commissioners.
You
under the
still have
statute.
to follow purchasing procurement by
Right,
bid law
right.
for the state of Idaho. That's why, like last year, when the Fair Board wanted me to sign the, hey, let's just hurry up and put some covers over some bleachers. It's just an ag building. That doesn't fly. That is not.
Right.
Those are all commercial structures. Everything down there, we have to follow state statute. They just changed the statute again for the limits. They actually made it easier on us, but we still have to follow the semi-formal process. If it's over, I think it's 50 grand now.
75.
Or no, the formal
Went from
process.
50 to 75, right? I thought that's what Shannon said.
Yeah, you have the semi-formal, formal, and informal process. And they've changed that again. And those are things that the Attorney General's office is cracking down on like crazy. And that's why we say, that's where this relationship has to work.
Just a minute, Commissioner Huff was wanting to talk.
I just have a little bit of heartburn about you coming in here accusing us of not communicating with you because, as Braden indicated, we contacted Saul the day before to let him know we were coming. We reached out to try to get to Sheldon. I'm sure Braden left messages. And so now we go down the next day. Saul gives us the tour. We did not give Saul any directions on anything to do. And now you're coming here and arguing with us about lack of communication. So I have a little bit of heartburn with that because we did our part and it's your employees' responsibility to let you guys know that we're coming. So where's the communication breakdown? I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I guess it's with our employee.
Well, and this is the whole thing is Commissioner Huff was is alluding to. When we call other departments, we call our point of contact usually in that department. That's usually the one that's usually the holder of the keys is the first one. You're going to call the guy of the keys, and if there's a department head or supervisor, you're going to try and call them at the same time. And it's usually the chief of staff that does that for us. We don't do that individually. We try not to call everybody individually because then we start, did we just make a open meeting law violation by calling every single member of the board? do we create an open meeting law violation if we are calling and telling you what we're all doing and what's going on and what's up? That we start running into that. And so that's why we say we usually try and always call the chairman, and we always try and call the guy with the keys if we need to go down and deal with that.
Right.
And going back to purchases real quick, sorry to do that. So about bid law and everything, you guys don't need to worry about that. You know, if you feel that there needs to be something purchased, it's definitely within the purview of the board to come to the commissioners and say, hey, you know, there's this personal property, real property that we need.
We know that.
And then, okay. And so I want to
We
make
have
sure
a
you guys.
purchasing and procurement person that's awesome.
That's fun. And if you guys want to read about the, you know, the procurement laws in the state, I mean, it's a really fun read. I can give you the statutes. But
Yesterday.
it's but I just want to make sure you know that it's definitely for you guys to, you know, if you spot things when you're managing the property, you're like, hey, we may need to get this, just to bring it to the attention of the commissioners, because they're the ones that ultimately have the duty to purchase it or not. So I just don't want you to have to worry about all that extra stuff, but definitely recommend if you see something that needs to be purchased.
Would it be beneficial for you if we were like, because we meet once a month, say the Tuesday following, if we had anything that happened huge at the meeting or something, to come in and spend 5 minutes with you guys and let you guys know what's going on, whether it's me or whether it's a Fair Board member.
That was requested last time around. That's when I told you that I wasn't going to attend every meeting because it's your responsibility to report to the commissioners. One commissioner going down there by themselves has zero authority. We can't tell you and make a decision for you. We can't do anything. So when we went to this system, that was part of the request, is that you would come back and report to us on a monthly basis.
You can send an email to the chief of staff for a general update and say, hey, these are the things that were discussed, and we need to talk about buying X amount of widgets. And then the chief of staff can bring it up to us in our next meeting and say, hey, Fair Board met last night.
I just think it's a lack of communication at this point. I think we need to let you guys know what's going on, and you guys need to let us know what you have to help us along with. Does that make sense?
Yep. And you have
communication.
And under the statute too, any plans that you guys have with the conduct of the fair, right, what you're doing from time to time, should be written down and filed in two places. One at your meeting place, and the other one with the Board of County Commissioners. So everyone should always be on, standing on knowing what's going on.
I mean, because I can, if the Fair Board gives me the okay, I mean, I could do a monthly or every other month or whatever, or a fair, I mean, but does it have to be a Fair Board member, or can I speak on their behalf, or how?
That would be under the direction of the board, the chairman.
Because it's hard for them to all get off work or, you know, to come to.
You have zero authority without them giving it to you.
Right.
So
Not
that would be
making
under their
decisions, but
direction.
at least to communicate to you guys what we have going on. Will that help you guys?
The big thing
policy
is
would be under the board to decide.
the big thing is with the communication side. Jason just brought up. Nancy usually sends out the minute update snippets. Anything that goes on in this meeting, it usually gets blasted out to the entire to where it needs.
Well, you're on video, right?
Yeah, we're being
That's
broadcast.
fine.
So the whole thing is same thing
We're
can
just
happen. Whoever takes
asking
the minutes,
how can I help you fix this?
send an email. I mean, that's the easiest communication is when we know exactly what, hey, this will happen.
Great.
Send your minutes.
Right there, right there.
The next few months, okay?
So one last issue,
That's fine.
and that is, can we get in the next budget Jamie Pearson full-time employment?
That will be a budget discussion. We had part of that yesterday. That's where we're going to look over all budgets and everywhere. Yesterday, we had departments ask for, 15 employees? Something like
Yeah,
that.
I lost track
So
of
that becomes part of that discussion. That's your proposal, and we'll look at that. But I'll just tell you, like I've told everybody else that's asked for an employee, the justifications have got to be there. It's not just, we hope, we want, we wish, or she's a great lady. But
She works a lot of overtime.
I'm just telling you that we're evaluating every single department when they're asking for more
And
employees.
you have to. Yep. We've got so much money to go around.
So I have one other thing. This is actually, Saul did quit.
Okay.
So, and I have talked to Ryan about it. We need to get it posted. So we need to know whether we posted at the $18 that he was making, at the wage he was making, or at what Ryan's recommending that position to be at, which is higher?
Well, the position and the recommendation hasn't been approved yet. It'll be approved in a budgetary cycle, is typically where it sits. We don't go into, and this is what we're saying, is when we go into where positions have been graded out, where it's at and where it was sitting, what's been authorized is at its current rate.
That's current rate, so we'll post it at current rate.
Okay.
Current
I
rate.
talked to him about it yesterday, and we were trying to figure out
We
which way
needed
we
to
were
have
supposed to
this
go about it.
decision before we could post.
See, and like we've done with every department, is we always post it at the current rate, and if there's no action on it, then there's discussion further after that.
And I recommended we bring it to you guys because of the unique situation.
Yeah.
So,
And we will have to check payouts versus available funding as to when it can be
So
posted.
I have to have two of these guys sign it, possibly this meeting, and then, yeah.
We'll just end up using probably your extra help to cover payouts so that you can get the position as soon as possible. But I gotta look at those numbers because I didn't, this is the
Right,
first I've heard.
because you got the other numbers for us. that we
We've
don't
got
need.
90 days to the fair.
We know.
Well, and that's an area that I'm telling you, the crossover we gotta be better at. Scott is a good resource. And we have employees, and if we can, we just talked about doing this up at the landfill and stuff. If we need to move things around a little bit, we want everybody to be successful. But it takes us working together.
It does.
I mean, the first year I went down there, the commissioners were welcome, and then honestly, we weren't welcome because there was hard feelings. And not that we had them, but there was a couple of members of the fair board, they're not there now, that Sheldon was hurt and they were doing things outside their boundaries. And when they were called on the carpet for it, it hurt their feelings. But you had a very successful fair, and we still do. We have a wonderful fair, but we can't badmouth each other.
I agree.
We gotta work together to make it the Bannock County Fair.
No, and that's the big push. There's been some hurt feelings over the fact that, well, it's the South County Fair. It's not the South County Fair. It hasn't been the South County Fair for.
It's Bannock County Fair.
It's the Bannock County Fair, and this is the whole thing. We need to include the entire county. That's the whole point of this, I had a conversation with a couple of the former individuals, and apparently that made them mad that we don't need anybody from up north telling us what to do. And the problem is we're all Bannock County citizens, and everybody in Bannock County contributes the tax that pays for the fair. And it's pretty funny. There's a lot of us that when we were little kids sat on our great aunt's back porch and ate pickles and went to the fair down there. That's where a lot of us grew up and did that. And just because the people in the north aren't necessarily there every day doesn't mean we exclude them. And by saying that to some individuals, if that hurts some people's feelings, I'm sorry. But we really got to get better at that. That's got to be, if you want that fair to succeed and everybody to be involved, we've got to have everybody all the way to the county line up with Bingham County involved with that.
Okay, we got a public hearing at 10:30, so further conversations, questions, discussions?
There's one issue that I caught, maybe I misunderstood. Somebody said the employees are for the Bannock County Fair. They're for the Bannock County Fair year-round.
Well, they can be, because certain fairgrounds shut down and close. Twin Falls actually, they shut it down in October. They close everything. They're temporary employees, and then they kick back up in the spring. They wake everything up, and then they go back to it. There's fairgrounds that do that. They are not open year-round. Their employees are not permanent full-time employees. They are full-time during their seasonal time.
This fair isn't seasonal, though.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that the grounds are seasonal.
The fair is seasonal.
The fair is seasonal because
The fair itself is seasonal.
Yeah.
But that employee is not over the rodeo. It's not, their duty isn't to maintain the arena for the rodeo that is not fair rodeo. That employee is not over the arena for the guys that have riding passes. Those are not fair events.
And the other thing too is the waiver of those fees needs to come back before this board, because those are not fair items. So like the bleachers that all ended up at Marsh Valley High School, that's my wife's high school. As much as I appreciate that, the waiver of those fees should have came back before this board.
Oh, they paid full price.
Well, but what I'm saying is even
But if they
moving
had
them
asked.
or having any of that, that's the whole point.
Okay,
So we'll get better with that, man.
that's another question. Last year, we had a problem with the chutes, and Sheldon was there to weld them up, or not Sheldon, Saul was there to weld them up.
Mm-hmm.
If Saul's not be there to run rodeo, who's gonna hold that stuff up?
You guys have a line item for labor, and you can reallocate Sal's wages. If you need to hire temporary guys, you need to hire somebody to come in to weld, you can do that. We'll try and get something, it'll get posted, try and hire somebody. If you can't hire somebody, there's labor in that, you need it welded up. Call Gate City Steel, hey, I need a mobile welding unit, this is what I need to have fixed. Or we call up to Road and Bridge, or we call up to one of those guys, and we see if
There's
we can
more
reallocate.
welders with trucks in Downey than most cities.
I mean, there is labor, there's money there
Contract.
that you can do that with.
Why
It's,
have we not hired Sheldon?
what's that?
Nope.
Oh,
You
fair
can't-
board member? Yeah, that's.
Nope.
You can't hire a fair board member.
Nope.
That's a big.
If he'd love to donate his
A
time.
conflict.
You're right.
But, I mean,
He could donate, we just can't pay him.
It's kind of like the commissioners going and mowing 78 acres of grass all last summer every Friday. We did it out of the goodness of our hearts, not because we were getting paid to mow the grass.
Is that Commissioner, or Bannock County Commissioner? Bannock County Fair Board?
Yeah, where you said Saul's don't work for the rodeo, but that was creating revenue that you guys asked us to do that is going back into some fund or somewhere.
Is that,
Like, how many riding passes did we sell during the winter?
We probably sold 15 maybe.
is that under the preview of the Fair Board?
That's the
I don't
question.
believe it is. From what we've just been told, I don't believe it is.
So if we're wanting to have extra events, spring events, fall events, all of that, to try and earn revenue.
You would have to follow the process of doing that. That's not, yeah, when somebody wants to come in and do that. Yeah.
So tomorrow night I have Rodeo Bible Camp coming and I have 4-H coming.
Yeah, and we've had both of those guys come before us for fee waivers and where they're at
So they
and contract
need
to use
come
that.
before us to make sure that the board okays them as, and then come to you if they want fees reduced or waived. So they have to come to 2 meetings.
yeah, if we're talking about using fairgrounds,
Or if
right,
they're just
or
gonna
that's
come and
there.
pay, can they
Yeah.
just come?
So again, like with the fair board, and you're right, it says just to manage the property used for fair purposes, doesn't give it a specific time, right? Just that's been acquired for fair purposes. But that links directly to that statute in Title 31 with the commissioner saying now their job is to maintain it and regulate the use thereof. So you manage the property, but anything, and then a lot of your authority and powers come to the fair, right? That nobody else has any.
Well, it would be at our discretion where
Anything
those funds
outside of that
went.
would be regulating the use thereof of the county fund, or the county,
Facility.
facility, and that would go with the commission. So you would just have to work together on that.
And that's what I was saying. And if you have somebody like the Bible rodeo guys that came in, that we've allowed to do that, and if it's a recommendation of the board that's going to move forward and do that,
The board presented to you.
yeah, we're okay with that. But the whole thing is especially when it's a fee waiver, it's a reduction in fees, anything that way, that's where only
Well,
the board can do it.
And then it's at our discretion where those fees go. If they go into the fair.
No. Would they have to go back in on those
Or if
grounds?
they go into general fund.
No.
They have to go into where it's.
Well,
Well,
we might need to look at that.
because it's at
But
our
basically
discretion.
What we've done is we've put the use, whatever the use is, that's where we put the money.
Yeah.
So if the use is at the Downey facility, we would put it back within the Downey facility.
They'll pay for the
At
down
our
facility.
discretion.
We need to look at the statute to make clarification.
So I'm just saying,
Well, that's
there's a
what-
lot of questions out there.
We have a lot.
Still.
There's a lot of events in the entire county where people want to use our facilities, and they are not going to make the money back for the use that is put into taking care of those facilities, and that's something that we have to be very mindful of.
Okay.
So do I need
We're-
to bring those 2 contracts to you next week if they ask for fee reduction?
Just send them a
Anything with fee reduction
On the fee
has to be
reduction,
the
they're doing a
commission.
service project in.
Right.
That's still the commission. Nobody else can give a reduction of any fees
Okay.
except this board right here.
So can I bring that to you or do they have to bring it to you? Do those groups have to come?
One of my rules is if you want to have a reduction in something, come before us. You're asking county taxpayers
Right.
to pay for your share of something. So I've required them to come before us.
Okay, so they'll have to just get approved through these guys, and then they have to come to you for the fee reduction,
Okay.
right?
Okay, we need to close this session. We have another one right behind you, plus our executive session.
Carrie, are you here for D6?
Yeah.
One last issue. Need to talk to
You said that last time.
Need to talk to you one-on-one.
Okay.
How do I get there? When do I get there?
Talk to Braden.
Okay?
I'll come out with you.
Got a card? Okay.
Okay.
Brady's contact info,
All right.
your cell phone, but.
All right, thank you.
much.
Thank you.
You're gonna be best friends, dude. Just saying.
Okay.
All right, Gary.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Kerry Hong, Trial Court Administrator for the record, appearing on behalf of Ashley Brinkhurst. Sorry for the miscommunication this morning. Was under the impression that we needed to have a memo reviewed and wasn't quite sure if we needed a person present. So sorry to delay the Commission's business. So with the agenda request, we attached an email that Christy prepared on behalf of D6 outlining the allocations from the $25,000 budget that the Commission discussed when we last had this agenda up, indicating the employees that the retention incentives would go to, and reflecting the amount that would be actual stipend and then the amount that would need to be held back for benefit costs. Happy to review those individually if the Commission would like.
Questions?
No, I looked at them.
I'm good. I'm good. You guys, everybody good?
I'm good, so.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the recruitment and retention plan as presented by D6.
You have a motion?
Quick clarification.
Okay.
Are we doing, so originally we discussed the 160 per person. Is that one off the table, and we're doing the one that was outlined by Carrie with the amount to each employee? If you look at the memo, the top part was what was discussed on the 28th, and then the bottom part is what was presented after that meeting through an email. So I just need clarification as to which one is being approved.
I was going off the email. That's what you have right there, correct?
I have both.
The one that, yeah, because I broke my email out into both. What was originally presented, and then the second
So
one.
I'm doing the second part of that.
Okay.
The stipends.
Okay.
Okay.
List the individual employees and the amounts for that.
Just needed that clarification.
All right.
Good.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, 1 nay.
Appreciate the assistance.
Okay.
I'll
We'll
go
do
ahead
sign
and
approval forms.
I'll get you the line item on the.
I just need the money deposited, so I need a check request from you, deposited, and then if you just give me the check for the 25,000, I'll differentiate what needs to go into the general fund. We will have to hold a public hearing to open the budget so that the share employees can receive that. So that'll be a cost upon the commission for the public hearing. And then the difference will be put into D6.
Okay.
And then we'll do the SAR approval forms, have Jason sign them. If we can get them done soon enough, then the 10 stipends should start effective on the 9th, which is yesterday. And if not, then we'll double up the stipends.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Next, we have resolutions. Resolution number 2022-25, vacating Bryantwood. Resolution number 2022-28, approving April 2022 salaries. And resolution number 222-29, April 22 alcohol licenses.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2022-25, 2022-28, and 2022-29.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Got our names in different places.
Mess us up like that.
About signed the bottom again.
Recess.
You want to do the meeting
No.
meeting
Oh,
minutes?
yeah, one more.
Yeah, well, I got a couple more things here. Next, under the consent agenda, we have certificates of residency. We have some that were not submitted in a timely manner and have been denied. This one, approved.
Oops, sorry, Terry.
So this one was submitted 2 days late. So it would be denied because of that. If, under statute, it says that on or before May 1st of each year, for class taken during.
Question, because this has happened, because this is student stuff, right?
Mhm.
Was it submitted to the university and then the university failed to do that? Or was it because this is, remember, we've had this conversation before because we had CSI sat on their laurels. They had all their students, had it all turned in, and then CSI didn't bother to turn it in until like the 15th of the
I
month.
think the students are required to bring the paperwork to
We
the
get
county
these directly
Yeah.
from the students typically.
Okay, so we are, because originally we were not doing that. Originally what was happening is they were being collected at CSI, and then they were sending them all to us.
There was a hybrid, yeah.
And so have we stopped doing that with this? And that's what I just want to make sure that
I
that's.
have not seen a request from a university or junior college.
Okay, so this was sent in by the student, not by.
I can ask
Okay.
Carrie
That's
specifically
just
on
because
this
that
one.
was the problem that we had, is because the students, so I would read that as in good faith, they've turned them in thinking that they're good, and then somebody up there doesn't understand state statute.
And
We
our
don't have
office
that.
turned that over to Carrie. to
Yeah,
do
Carrie
it
Povey does that.
Because
Okay.
we.
All right, no, and if we got that, then we're good. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure about that. So,
She's in her office. I can ask her about that one specifically if you want.
And this one has one
One is-
denied past due, approved, but it says denied past due and denied.
So why do we have separate, two different things?
Because they wanted us to make a decision.
It's at your discretion. We've, in the past, even when we've received late paperwork, prior commission has approved it. It's at your discretion if you want to approve it beyond the due date.
And I've been denying them. Because there's a responsibility there. I
Let me
mean,
see
it's
this.
like everybody else that wants a tax deed or anything else, there's a deadline,
And they're aware, most of them are very aware.
and it's in state statute.
okay. I'm fine.
Deny?
Did
What do you have after this meeting? Do you have 5 minutes after?
on this one, do we need to sign where it
They
says
just
approved? So we need to cross that out.
I'd just we wouldn't even do that one, we'll just do the one.
Okay.
Okay. Next, we have salary rate approval forms. And I about had a conversation with Christie, because we was hiring a mechanic at $11.81 an hour.
It's an intern.
And then I saw that it was an intern, and I'm going, oh, okay.
Now, excuse me, is that the internship form or a salary rate approval?
Salary
It's a
approval
salary
form.
Because it's an
We're
intern,
doing the
yeah.
same thing as we are with,
It's to
MS.
supplement the internship.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That also has our minutes. With that being said, we'll be at recess till we